Yo, what is up, guys? Dashing here for Community Universe Mode episode 664, and we are live for Supremacy number 21, the go-home edition, before next week's huge cross-branded pay-per-view event, Point Break. That's right, next week, guys, a two-day event. It'll be Thursday and Friday. One of the biggest pay-per-views here in CMV in recent memory. It is going to be a doozy indeed, just as tonight's show should be, as things get underway hot and heavy. Kevin Lee taking on Jaquan Shea one-on-one. Our main event tonight, guys, that steel cage match as Bram Miller looks to take out Bob Luger once and for all and stop him from making it to Point Break to challenge Chris Proudfoot for the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship, along with a whole lot more, as we see the incredible athleticism of the CMV veteran Jaquan Shea taking on a fellow CMV veteran, and Kevin Lee, a nice bicycle knee there by the hypothetical Kung Fu practitioner, the former two-time World Tag Team Champion, who made his return to CMV at Ascendance in the Slick B Memorial Battle Royal after more than 2 years on the shelf. Last couple of weeks, his outings here on Supremacy haven't been very successful, more recently taking an L to Ashley Amell after an incredible match. Meanwhile, Jaquan Shea has kind of been in the same boat. He lost a singles match to Brian Jacobson, but a match that many are calling the best this season so far. And then last week, on the losing end of that tag team bout, Brian Jacobson continuing to have his number. But of course, Jaquan Shea going to have a chance to bounce back big time, not only here tonight, but also at Point Break, as he is a part of that hardcore battle royal to crown a new CMV Anarchy champion. He's a former Anarchy champion already, as well as a former light heavyweight champion and the first ever Zero G champion. But Jaquan Shea is looking to end his drought. And just a little over a week as Kevin Lee off a cutter transitions into a Dragon Sleeper. Going to try to tap out Jaquan Shea here, but able to find an escape. Now a snapmare and a soccer ball kick coming together nicely. Jaquan Shea taking down Kevin Lee. Crossface applied. Seems as though these two want to outdo each other. Double boot stomp, Kevin Lee. We know what he ultimately wants to do, and that's kick Jaquan Shea right in the back of the face. I don't know, though. Comparing these two in terms of their striking aptitude is a tall task indeed, but I think I'd give the edge to Jaquan Shea, honestly. Those kicks of his are lethal, but he's also got the crazy fast open palm strikes we saw earlier in the match. Look how fast he got up to that top rope. Caution to the wind, 630 senton. But man, did that backfire big time. Kevin Lee in the blink of an eye to his feet gets a jawbreaker. Some of the men, Jaquan Shea, will share the ring with that Point Break in the hardcore battle royal. Gonna go toe-to-toe later on tonight. Brett Curtis and Jay Young. Extreme Rules. A lot of tension between those two. Going to be settled in the ring. Kevin Lee just handing out these cutters tonight like candy on Halloween. Oh, striking the whoa pose. Kevin Lee wants to get back to his winning ways, but Jaquan Shea kind of desperately needs this win. Not a whole lot of people rooting for him heading into Point Break. The golden boy's got to be Brian Jacobson, who's looked simply phenomenal since his return. Ooh, nice. Absolutely picture perfect, but at the same time, brutal. Dragon suplex right there. Taking both men down for a couple of seconds. Jaquan Shea into a front headlock, slaps away the hand, and into the ring we go. Also to come tonight, guys, going to be tag team action as the Kingdom, Max Ryder and Joe Dirt, will take on Chris Danger and a partner of his choosing. We know that at Point Break, Chris Danger will go one-on-one with George King after laying down the challenge a couple weeks ago George King and his kingdom replying to the challenge by beating Chris Danger down backstage. Danger is back, though. Who's his partner going to be to take on George King's nice, beautiful counter by Jaquan Shea into a German suplex. Elbow to the gut. Tossing Jaquan Shea down to the mat with an STO. Now a stomp down out of the hand. Been a very evenly matchup. Closely contested since the bell rang. Nobody's had a definitive edge. That's like what I was talking about earlier, though. These guys are very even in their craft. Sit out powerbomb by Jaquan Shea. Jaquan has a lot of aspirations here on Supremacy this season. Been very quick to work calling out Chris Proudfoot every single chance he gets. Really wants that match with the undisputed World Heavyweight Champion. And if he can win the Anarchy Championship at Point Break, certainly that'll raise his stock here on Supremacy. Perhaps give him a chance to get that match. Frankensteiner sending Kevin Lee from the top rope right smack into the middle of the ring. Ralph is next to me and he won't stop farting. This is genuine torture. Just as Kevin Lee gets a boot to the temple. Lost in the woods momentarily. Jaquan Shea's just keeping up the heat. Staying on top of Kevin Lee like peanut butter on jelly, but that veteran instinct allowing him to roll out of the ring and catch his breath. Can't be pinned or submitted out there. He can be counted out, though. The in and out game. Jaquan Shea realizing what's going on. That gave Kevin Lee a breather. Irish whip into the corner, coming up from behind. Double knees to the upper back. Jaquan Shea looking up at the lights. One of these men are going to have their losing streak ended tonight. Will it be Kevin Lee, the hypothetical Kung Fu practitioner? I hope none of y'all blinked, because if you did, you would have missed it. 1, 2, 3. Kevin Lee, guys, with the win, and something's got to give for Jaquan Shea. He's been talking a big game since returning this season, but those losses to Brian Jacobson certainly weighing heavy on his mind. Gave Kevin Lee a fight, but not enough. That open palm strike directly to the face, knocking Shea's lights out, and Kevin Lee finally tasting victory since his return to CMV. Kevin Lee with a steel chair in hand. It seems like Jaquan Shea has done the smart thing, though, and hightailed it out of there before his spot at Point Break is jeopardized. Apparently Kevin Lee has just become a steel chair aficionado. Will Jaquan Shea be able to get his act together, guys, in time for Point Break? We'll find out, but coming up next, 6-man tag team action as Bloody Justice will be joined by the arsenal of Tailcoat Val, the terrifying masked figures we've seen these last couple of weeks at Tailcoat Val's side, taking on God's Chosen, the World Tag Team Champions Braxton Sutter, Joey Diaz, and of course the undisputed World Heavyweight Champion Chris Proudfoot. Now, God's Chosen wasn't really on Mr. Slate's radar. He was laser focused on ending Bob Luger's career, but Tailcoat Val last week kind of got into his head and made Slate realize that God's Chosen could potentially be a huge threat. And so now Mr. Slate has two enemies. Tailcoat Val dispatching some of her soldiers to try and take care of them, but we do now know Mr. Slate made it official. The arsenal of Tailcoat Val will challenge God's Chosen for the Unified World Tag Team titles at Point Break. Now, which two members? That remains to be seen. I do know that the two masked figures joining Bloody Justice here are Gambetto and Labyrinth. We will also see Teixeira in action later on tonight. He's set to go one-on-one with Golden Cat. Danger Cat recently abducted, and the Arsenal and Tailcoat Val are prime suspects in the mind of Golden Cat, so he's going to have a chance to get some answers a little bit later on. But here we go, Bloody Justice, Braxton Sutter going to start things off. Now, Bloody Justice not in a good mood after he failed to advance to the finals of the European Championship Tournament, being defeated by Chris Sullivan last week. After coming so close, really wants to get back on track here. But indeed, it will be Killian Red versus Chris Sullivan to crown a new European champion at Point Break next week. Braxton Sutter, speaking about last week, was the hand-picked opponent for Shea Hoxton. Andrew Briggs really thought he had an ace up his sleeve, but Shea Hoxton with quite an unexpected victory over the tower. I'm sure that rubbed Chris Proudfoot the wrong way. Andrew Briggs not here tonight after what Jared Leon did to him in last week's main event, but Shea Hoxton is set for action later on in our co-main event, one-on-one with Subject Zero. Will either Shea Hoxton or Andrew Briggs make it to Point Break for their scheduled international championship match? At this point, I'm not entirely sure. I do know that Bloody Justice, keeping up with tradition, every single match he's had this season, he's hit that tombstone pile driver within 2 minutes. Tonight, not going to be any different. The 300-pound Braxton Sutter proving to not be a challenge. Referee Johnson taking his first bump of the night, earning that paycheck. Forearm smash, knife edge chop combination again and again and again, followed by a couple of stomps. Full mount by Bloody Justice. Now, on any given day, BJ isn't a guy you want to run into. Absolutely terrifying to get into that ring against, but after losing out on a shot at the European Championship, Justice is rabid. We saw what his brother-in-law Jared Leon did to Andrew Briggs last week. Tailcoat Val and Mr. Slate, they have got a terrifying grip on Supremacy at the moment. Arsenal Tailcoat Val running roughshod. Braxton Sutter with a stalling butterfly suplex, letting the blood rush to the head of Bloody Justice, who sits right back up, forcing Braxton Sutter to take a couple of steps back like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Will God be able to protect the Chosen here tonight and at Point Break when all their titles are going to be on the line? Well, Chris Proudfoot is set to defend his undisputed World Heavyweight Championship against Bob Luger, but one has to wonder if Bob Luger's going to make it to the pay-per-view, guys. He's already in rough shape, and he's still got to compete against Bram Miller later on tonight in our main event inside of that steel cage. Mr. Slate is doing everything in his power to make sure that Bob Luger does not make it to Point Break and that his career ends sooner rather than later. Joey Diaz now in the ring hits a stunning moonsault. The hot commodity with a German suplex got in a bit of hot water with Chris Proudfoot towards the start of the season. CMV Universe was wondering whether or not he was going to remain a part of the flock, but renounced his sinful ways. Chris Proudfoot gave him another chance, and so far this season, he's been making up for his mistakes. We'll see if that follows through to Point Break, as now I honestly don't know which this is, Gambetto or Labyrinth. I think this is Labyrinth. There's no way of telling them apart. I mean, some of them are different shapes and sizes, but for the most part, they wear the exact same thing. They don't talk. They have no defining features. And again, God's Chosen have no idea which two members of the Arsenal will be challenging them for the titles at Point Break next week. It could be Gambetto and Labyrinth. It could be one of the other three. Could be Bloody Justice. Could be Jared Leon. We don't know. We have absolutely no way of knowing. Clothesline by who I believe to be Labyrinth, so I'm just going to keep calling him Labyrinth. I may be wrong. Hopefully Tailcoat Val doesn't get angry and try to come out here and turn me into one of her puppets. Beautiful rolling cacao kick by Joey Diaz up against the ropes. Now comes a devastating knee into the pin. Could have this one in the pocket for God's Chosen. A close 2 count, but not enough to seal the deal. And Labyrinth straight back up, coming after Diaz. Look at this combination. Will not topple this creature. Finally, that sweep does the trick. Goes low, gets a clothesline. Stomp to make sure Diaz stays down. Another one soon after. There's a bicycle super kick. Off his back, Labyrinth hitting a kick to the side of the head. Bull Nelson turned into a death row. A punt right to the base of the skull. Bloody Justice looking worse for wear out there on the apron. As up next, guys, will be that Extreme Rules match. Brett Curtis and Jay Young looking to settle their differences. All-out war as they prepare for the hardcore battle royale at Point Break to crown a new Anarchy champion. Now here comes Gambetto. Off the hot tag, gets an Irish whip into the corner. Kick to the chest. Diaz is looking like $1,000,000 right now. Using the ropes. Gotta watch out for that 5 count. Could be disqualified. Pendulum Meteora. And strutting his stuff. As he leaves the corner, Chris Proudfoot keeping a close eye. Notice how he hasn't been tagged in yet. Trying to keep himself fresh, I'm sure, for Point Break Vintage. Joey Diaz, GTS off the Gourdbuster. 1, 2. Only a 2 count. Metal rolls to his feet. Driving a knee into the chest of the hot commodity. Both Braxton Sutter and Chris Proudfoot asking for a tag, lending their hand, but Diaz not able to make it over to the corner. Gambetto with a jumping DDT. Only through the power of God is he able to make that hot tag. In comes Braxton Sutter, and this is a considerable size difference between these two. Very crafty is the Arsenal Tailcoat Val. DDT, though, by Sutter. Dragged by the arm. Braxton has got a lot to make up for. Losing to Shea Hoxton last week. Making God's Chosen, and more importantly, Chris Proudfoot look bad in the eyes of God. I'm sure he took his lashings. Chris Proudfoot probably not too happy with Tailcoat Val making God's Chosen public enemy number 2 behind Bob Luger. Oh, forearm smash and a German suplex. Now that was a nasty string of maneuvers right there. Gambetto is looking none too well right now as he's tossed out of the ring. Doesn't want to give Gambetto a chance to catch his breath, I suppose. Back into the ring, though, at the hands of one of the many tools Tailcoat Val loves to wield. Backslide. 1, 2. Trying to steal one from the tower. Both men looking at each other. Oh, the Samoan spike! Thumb to the throat. 1, 2, 3! That would have been a 3. But Labyrinth with the clutch breakup. But a millisecond to spare. This one should be over. Gambetto probably feeling like Bob Luger with his throat right now. Tags in Bloody Justice. Of course, we know Tailcoat Val had her Arsenal drive that steel chair right into the throat of Bob Luger a couple weeks ago. Clothesline by Bloody Justice. Got to appreciate the tactic, though, of Chris Proudfoot, keeping himself on the apron, keeping himself undamaged and nice and fresh going into Point Break, where he might defend his championship against Bob Luger. Bloody Justice, slowly but surely, falling deeper and deeper into the clutches of Tailcoat Val. And if you thought Bloody Justice was crazy before, losing his mind before our very eyes. Just another instrument. Oh, big slam! Shades of the Boss Man all the way to Braxton Sutter. Straight into the canvas. Chris Proudfoot has no choice now but to get involved. Hot tag while Justice is hot dogging in the corner. Elbow to the side of the head. Kick to the gut in response. Bloody Justice. There's the 360 tombstone pile driver. Now this is a match Bloody Justice has wanted for a very long time. Remember, Justice, he was supposed to get his first ever World Championship match towards the end of last season inside of the Elimination Chamber, but he was taken out beforehand. Oh, and never got a proper rematch. Nice teamwork by the Arsenal. Tailcoat Val spreading Proudfoot's legs. A shot to the nether region and another jumping DDT into the pin, guys. Will Proudfoot be defeated at the hands of Val's puppet Snow? Not just yet. Charging full steam ahead and going to try to best Proudfoot with his own maneuver. God's arrow right there. Tag to Labyrinth. I'll say this, great teamwork by the Arsenal so far. Jumping DDT. All these shots to the head, man, they're going to start adding up. Maybe Proudfoot should have stayed on the apron after all. Proudfoot got to think quicker. Work on those reflexes. Not able to keep up with Labyrinth right now. Clothesline with the roll through. To his feet. Clothesline with the roll through. Showing him how it's properly done. They may be the Arsenal Tailcoat Val, but Chris Proudfoot and his disciples are the Arsenal of God above. And that's what Val and Mr. Slate are afraid of. Chris Proudfoot doesn't take his orders from Mr. Slate. He takes his orders from God. Bloody Justice asking for the tag. Chris Proudfoot doing a good job of keeping Labyrinth out of his corner. Well-placed shots right up under the midsection. Samoan drop, though. World champion stunned. Labyrinth with a corkscrew neck breaker. Bit of a moonlight drive. 1, 2. Braxton Sutter making use of himself. Stopping that pin from going down. And Chris Proudfoot looking livid. Side effect! Side effect! Side effect! Will God's light indeed show the path to victory against the Arsenal tonight? For God's chosen, only a 2 count. Labyrinth threatening a punch. I don't know if that's going to do him any good, though. Exchanging knife-edge chops. There's the death row rearing its ugly head again. Oh, and Labyrinth with a bit of a celebration, perhaps a bit too early. Pop, locking, and dropping. Proudfoot escapes the corner. Gets an elbow directly to the face, though. Deflects that back elbow attempt. Irish whip. Watch out, referee. Proudfoot has his arm raised. He hasn't won just yet, though. Oh, hang on a minute, Chris Proudfoot. We know what he's setting up for here, ladies and gentlemen. Tree of Woe. Watch out, Braxton Sutter. Give Proudfoot some room to work. The undisputed world heavyweight champion, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Chris Proudfoot gonna go coast to coast. Taking maybe just as much out of himself. The fans chanting, this is awesome though, because Proudfoot had the match won. Uno, dos, tres, he does. God's chosen, victorious. Able to keep the arsenal of tailcoat Val at bay tonight. But will they be so lucky at Point Break? Very closely contested. I'll say this much about Gambetto and Labyrinth. They're more than just scary faces. They certainly brought the fight. Just wasn't enough to keep the flock down here tonight. But who's coming after those titles at Point Break? And will Bob Luger be in a good enough shape to face Chris Proudfoot? We'll find out later on tonight inside of that steel cage. And now it is time to get rough. Brett Curtis and Jay Young, guys, two NGW alumni, gonna clash. Extreme Rules, shades of things to come at Point Break when these two are part of that hardcore battle royal to crown a new Anarchy champion. These two, of course, were NGW long stays. Brett Curtis, as a matter of fact, said he'd never leave NGW, not until he won the World Championship there, but, well, didn't have a choice when NGW closed. And so he and Jay Young made their Supremacy debuts a few weeks ago, going one-on-one, and it ended up ending in a double countout. The two of them seeming to have some unresolved issues. And so Brett Curtis laid out the challenge for a rematch. Jay Young accepted. Curtis did get a bit of momentum last week, though, in that tag team match. He and Brian Jacobson defeating Jay Young and Jaquan Shea. Can he keep it up? The former NGW tag team champs here. Not together. They just both previously held the NGW tag team titles. Brett Curtis with Michael Boom and Jay Young with Johnny Respawn. Neither man ever able to win the big one, though. That singles gold has always eluded Brett Curtis. Multi-time challenger for the NGW World Championship, the Rising Star title on a few occasions. Brett Curtis said he is done at letting these opportunities pass him by. Point Break, he is going to leave Anarchy champion. And tonight he's going to make that very clear, using Jay Young to do so. Judging by what we saw these two do to each other a few weeks ago, Extreme Rules is very fitting. No countouts, no disqualifications. Anything goes. The match ends by pinfall or submission in the ring. At Point Break, these two will be joined by Jaquan Shea and Brian Jacobson. And it'll be elimination rules. Last man standing will be crowned the new Anarchy champion. There he is. Jay Young was very ecstatic when he heard the news that this match was made official. Said he's going to kill the biggest numpty of them all, and Bret Curtis en route to capturing the Anarchy Championship. He and Johnny Respawn actually the last ever NGW Tag Team Champions. Respawn went and disappeared, leaving Jay Young on his own again. And this season, it's been a tough road, having to sort of readjust himself to competing as a singles superstar. And it's time for him to knock off that ring rust once and for all. Because Point Break is just a week away, and if he wants to become Anarchy champion, can't afford to bring anything less than his A game. Clothesline right out of the gate. Bret Curtis tries to go for a high knee early on. Curtis and his knees, man. Exactly what you want to avoid when you're in the ring with the specialist. You know what he's special at? Hitting some knees, baby. Don't want any part of those things. Bret Curtis is very... Oh, hang on a minute. Jay Young was trying to go for a pin there. It's Jacobson. It's Brian Jacobson. One of the men that'll be joining these two in the Hardcore Battle Royal at Point Break. It seems like the Paragon of Virtue wanted to get a close-up of his opponents tonight, and Bret Curtis going to take advantage of the distraction. Curtis and Jacobson teaming successfully last week to defeat Jay Young and Jaquan Shea. That partnership seems to continue here tonight. Bret Curtis laying into Jay Young off of the distraction. Oh, and there's one of those knees. Any normal man out of the crowd or walking the street would be out cold after one of those. Look at these combinations, man. Bret Curtis, absolutely lethal in that squared circle. Jay Young hoping for a break against the ropes, but Bret Curtis is not inclined to oblige him. Trying to fight back, Jay Young. You gotta respect the fire in this kid. The TV dream, trained by Hall of Famer Dave Turner. Now getting his leg targeted. Brian Jacobson, just as quickly as he showed up, has vanished backstage. I guess his work is done. Now we gotta wonder if this alliance will continue into the Hardcore Battle Royal at Point Break. If so, Jay Young and Jaquan Shea might have to consider working together. And remember, this is Extreme Rules. Jay Young, what's he gonna pull out to play with? We've got a sledgehammer. Oh, right to the midsection, and now to the lower back, and again. Now to the gut. Good God. That thing is used to bust up cement, guys. It just got used to bust up Bret Curtis's insides. His ribs may be in pieces right now. Forearm smash, so this match quickly turned around. Did a 180 before our very eyes. Punch to the peg by Bret Curtis, up over the shoulders. Taking him towards the ropes, dropped sternum first on that top rope. Again going after the leg. Bret Curtis knows Jay Young very well. Jay Young is a high flyer, loves to use his legs. He's a big kicker. You take out those legs, you take out good 50% of his arsenal. Single knee backbreaker. Methodical Bret Curtis grabs the sledgehammer, going to try to get some payback. The stick end into the gut. Mushing up those internal organs. Brett Curtis. Oh, this ain't gonna end well. High rent district for Jay Young. Bad part of town. German suplex from the top. And now Curtis gonna fly. Moonsault gets the double knees. Gets the double knees. Tried to pull a Jade Divine. Not so lucky though. Small package by Brett Curtis. These two went so quickly. And Curtis damn near steals it. The rate at which these two can think, man. And a moment's notice. And now it's Jay Young with a small package. 1, 2. What a match this has been thus far. But you knew it would be. No countouts. Not this time. It's all about who's the better man. Catchphrase by Young. We already had the sledgehammer used. What's next? Steel chair, the age-old equalizer. Right to the back of Brett Curtis's head. An awful thud and a thwack. Flipped reverse DDT. Curtis is feeling the pain right now. Things are only going to get worse though, guys, at Point Break. It ain't called a hardcore battle royal for nothing. Clothesline out of the ring. It's not false count anywhere though. Brett Curtis doesn't seem to care. He's got the steel chair in hand. What's he thinking? Watching Jay Young very closely. Stalking his every move. He's seen enough. It's time to act. Steel chair to the dome. Now to the pelvis. Jay Young doesn't want any of that. No, thank you. I have heard that steel chair shots to your nether region is bad for your health. Chest off the apron. Hardest part of the ring. Power elbow tie-up. Jockeying for control. So evenly matched are these two. Taking a lot of lickings in this match so far. Reverse DDT. Brett Curtis damn lucky he wasn't an inch further back. Or his head would have landed right on that sledgehammer. Jay Young contemplating what to do next. Does he want to end this man's career? Tried to shove the sledgehammer up Brett Curtis's backside. Fireman's carry. Brett Curtis going to help Jay Young to his feet. Standing drop kick. He's feeling it right now. These fans rallying behind Jay Young, but Brett Curtis is the one that's got the upper hand. A couple of clotheslines and a calf kick. No time to waste. Jay Young back to his feet, gets spun around. Knee to the bridge of the nose, discus clothesline, BFT sledgehammer again, but Jay Young's had enough of it. No more, he says. Slaps away the hand. Oh, flatliner. Kick to the side of the head, though. Like a cat. Those reflexes, man. Oh, boy. Now a bat, a baseball bat. A metal baseball bat to the skull. Brett Curtis busted open. Jay Young's not content. He's done. Hesitating. Curtis throws down the bat, says, I don't need a weapon to beat your ass. But now we get a single on the hook. DDT on the bat, on the bat, on the bat. 1, 2. How the hell? How? Can somebody tell me? Jay Young argues with the referee. But now realizing he's got a chance to put Brett Curtis away for good. He took too much time though. Pele kicks to the back of the head. You can see the blood on Brett Curtis's cheek. Missed the sledgehammer shot, and that's going to leave him exposed. Another lifting reverse DDT. Man, Jay Young, he is pulling out everything to play with. The sledgehammer, the chair, the metal bat, now a kendo stick. What else could possibly be under that ring? To the ribs with an awful smack. The legs, the knees, all being lit up like a Christmas tree. Fireman's carry. Tucks the legs. Cradle shot. But Jay Young can barely stand. With whatever he has left, into the cover, hook in the leg. Still only a 2 count. What is this? Oh, Jay Young, we've seen this before. Rolling through, hammering. He's got the Kimura. He's got the Kimura. Brett Curtis has got it tapped. There's no escape. But a well-placed punch in the middle of the back. Curtis gets himself in the full mount. Has the damage been done to that arm, though? That's the million-dollar question. Not enough to stop him from hitting the gut-wrench powerbomb. 1, 2, 3, and Brett Curtis just like that gets the win, man. What a chaotic match. Those two just beat the ever-living shit out of each other for a good 10 minutes or so. Brett Curtis got hit with a sledgehammer, a steel chair, a metal baseball bat, a kendo stick, and still came out the victor, man. Gotta give a nod to Brian Jacobson for the assist early on in the match, but honestly, that was all Brett Curtis. Bloodied and all. If he can do that at Point Break, we are looking at the new Anarchy champion. Up next, guys, Val is back at it again. And, well, not the last we're going to see for Puppets here tonight either, as still later on, Subject Zero is set to take on international champion Shay Hoxton. But already, we saw Gambetto and Labyrinth, along with Bloody Justice, fail to defeat God's Chosen in that 6-man tag team match. Now, Teixeira is going to show us what he's worth to the Arsenal in that ring against Golden Cat, who's been on a bit of a mission these last couple of weeks. The Arsenal tailcoat Val largely suspected in the disappearance of Danger Cat, of course, Golden Cat's tag team partner to form Los Felinos Fatales, who were widely considered to be in prime position for #1 contendership. They were who everybody thought was going to challenge God's Chosen for the titles at Point Break, but after Danger Cat disappeared, well, an opening was left in Tailcoat Val, sweet-talking Mr. Slate, and it has been filled by the Arsenal. Which 2 members of the Arsenal will it be? That remains to be seen, but right now it is Teixeira in the ring taking on Golden Cat. Maybe, just maybe, Golden Cat can get some answers out of Teixeira here if he gets the win. Although I don't know if that's going to be so easy. The Arsenal doesn't seem to do a whole lot of talking. Tailcoat Val is the mouthpiece. Teixeira, though, we know to be a former competitor in CMV over the years. You know, more recently last season we saw him on NGW alongside Subject Zero, formerly known as Nucleo. But Tashera disappointed Tailcoat Val one too many times, and oh no, there's the other member of the Arsenal. That's Scourge. Out on the ramp there, Golden Cat has become distracted. Look at the size of that one. Ginormous. Golden Cat now stuck between these two lost souls, and Tashera able to take the advantage with that boot to the face. Rolls through off the Northern Lights into a final cut. He's almost as tall as the ring, guys. Where has Tailcoat Val been keeping this one? How do you hide someone that big? Jeez Louise. Golden Cat slingshotted into the ropes. Then falling back over the knees. Up Tashera swings the knee though. Golden Cat, paper bag on his head and everything. All he wants to do is find his lost friend. And he's got an itch. He's got an inkling that the Arsenal has got something to do with him vanishing. Hang on, Scourge! Scourge is getting in the ring, guys. What's going on here? Scourge is trying to get involved in the match. Golden Cat's fighting. He's scratching and crawling. He's doing everything he can. Referee Johnson's got to get some order in this ring here. Oh, and a miscommunication by the Arsenal. Tashera just inadvertently took out Scourge with a kick. Golden Cat going to try to use this to his advantage. Oh, and wait a minute. Scourge just took out Tashera. They're like rabid animals, man. They can't make sense of anything. That was just payback for Tashera kicking Scourge. And because of that, Tashera is victorious via disqualification. Maybe that was on purpose. One way or another, Golden Cat's going to get out of that ring before he vanishes next. Speaking of next, coming up next in our tertiary main event, guys, it is tag team action. As the Kingdom's Max Ryder and Joe Dirt, with George King not far behind, going to take on Chris Danger in a partner of his choosing. That partner, none other than Thunder from Down Under's Ashley Amell. Chris Danger a couple weeks ago, after defeating Joe Dirt on the season premiere of Supremacy, was originally supposed to take on George King one-on-one, but King did the last-second switcheroo. Afterwards, Chris Danger challenged George King to, put his money where his mouth is and fight him at Point Break. King and his Knights responded by beating down Chris Danger, keeping him out of action last week, but George King did indeed accept it, so at Point Break, it will be George King versus Chris Danger. But tonight, Danger gonna grab himself some help to take on the Knights and Max Ryder and Joe Dirt. Ashley Amell, a hell of a partner to pick, I'll give him that much. Here we go, Max Ryder, Ashley Amell gonna get things started, slaps away the hand. Amell into a front headlock, slaps away the hand. Does Max Ryder now? And back and forth we go. Now a snapmare to change it up a bit. Soccer ball kick to the middle of the back. George King has been playing it very safe this season. Winterfest, he defeated Randy Borton. Shake-up, he and his Knights were victorious in a six-man tag team match. But these last few weeks, keeping himself nice and fresh, continuing to do so here tonight. So that at Point Break, he'll be in tip-top shape. Whereas Chris Danger has kind of had to run the gauntlet. Elbow to the shoulder, overhand punch, rocks him and sends him down. Still to come, guys. Up next in our co-main event, it will be Subject Zero, 1-on-1 with Shay Hoxton. And in our main event, the steel cage will descend upon the ring as trapped within will be Bram Miller and Bob Luger. Will Bob Luger survive tonight, guys? Will he make it to Point Break to challenge Chris Proudfoot for the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship? Rolling Hangman's Neckbreaker by Ashley Amell, who along with Jacqueline Hendricks form Thunder from Down Under, but of course Hendricks currently out with an injury, has been for a couple of months now. Amell has been on his own, coming off a win last week over Kevin Lee, as a matter of fact. Ashley Amell finally starting to find his groove as a singles competitor, willing to come to the aid of Chris Danger here tonight. Needed a partner? More than happy to step up. Amell thrown overhead with that choke toss. Gonna slide out of the ring and catch his breath real quick. Nothing happy greeting him, though, as he makes his way back into the squared circle up against the ropes. He's thrown. Oh, man, and Max Ryder with the slingshot powerbomb. Oh, Amell teleporting to his feet to hit that knee to the gut. Irish whip. George King saying hello. Drop toe hold. Joe Dirt extending his hand for the hot tag. Here comes the man who went one-on-one with Chris Danger a few weeks ago. Super kick to the knee, taking the big man down. Setting him up for that Shining Wizard. And Amell just tossed off to the side like a rag doll. Certainly have the size and strength advantage due the Kingdom. Claps the temples. Nice hip toss takedown. Chris Danger, you see in his corner, offering the tag, but Ashley Amell's got to make it there first. Got to create himself some breathing room, and that's easier said than done. Single leg takedown. George King is loving what he's seeing right now. Oh, punches to the gut, as if stabbing Ashley Amell over and over again. Amell tries to roll onto the apron, get himself some sort of refuge, but not to be. Joe Dirt staying on top of him like a monkey on a cupcake. And overhead again, almost out of the ring he's thrown. Flapjack. Chris Danger. You can see in his eyes. Doesn't want Ashley Amell to get hurt because of him. He asked for his help, and Ashley Amell offered. But now might be regretting it. Kingdom is putting their boots to him real quick. Dropkick to the face. That is some serious height. Ashley Amell's got some hops to get up that high for a dropkick to the face of the near 7-foot tall Joe Dirt. There we go. Pinpoint dropkick to the temple. Ashley Amell starting to feel a little something, something. These fans definitely behind him in Danger. Nice roll through, and it looks like we've got an Indian deathlock variation by Ashley Amell, tying up those tree trunk-esque legs of Joe Dirt. Able to get out of it, but seems as though might be too little too late. Kick to the gut gets caught. Ashley Amell going to turn around into a German suplex. Gets right back up. Chris Danger continuing to ask for the tag. Ashley Amell seems intent, though, at the moment, and getting things done on his own. Knife edge chop. Oh no, Ashley Amell taken up high and dropped down unceremoniously with a powerbomb. Able to escape with a scoop slam, reverse DDT. He's right in the corner. Can he make the tag? Can he make the tag to Danger? Doesn't try, though. Instead, in the head scissors, 3 elbows to the temple. Ashley Amell, what's he thinking? Shouldn't waste too much time, though. Up to the top rope like a spider monkey scurrying. And a moonsault. Just about as clean and crisp as you'll find. Now we get a standing moonsault. From any angle, from any level, Ashley Amell, moonsault aficionado. Jawbreaker gonna topple the less than jolly giant. And Joe Dirt of the Kingdom hot tag and bring Max Ryder back into the mix. Had a good while to rest up. Hurricane Rana, though, taking him right down. Ashley Amell has yet to even attempt to make a tag to Chris Danger in this match. Maybe he's become so accustomed to the single life with his tag team partner, Jacques Hendricks, out with an injury at the moment. Doesn't remember how a tag team match works. Ashley Amell grabbing the big man by his ears, looking him dead in the eyes, gets an arm drag takedown. Max Ryder closing the distance quickly. Strike to the jaw. And off the shoulders. Sit out powerbomb, guys. 1, 2, 3. And the Kingdom are going to be victorious. Ashley Amell would not tag out to Chris Danger. Danger didn't get involved in this match at all. And that cost him in the end. The Kingdom pick up the win and some momentum for George King heading into Point Break. There's what did it, that massive sit-out powerbomb off the shoulder. Maybe next time Chris Danger should think twice when choosing his tag team partner. Well, guys, we have now made it to our co-main event of the evening. Still to come in our main event, it is that steel cage showdown between Bram Miller and Bob Luger. But first, it has been a less than stellar night for Tailcoat Val and her arsenal so far. We saw Bloody Justice, Gambetto, and Labyrinth lose to God's Chosen a bit earlier in that 6-man tag match, and then a debacle to say the least during the match between Tashera and Golden Cat after Scourge got involved. So now we'll see if she can end things on a high note as her prized subject Zero takes on the international champion Shay Hoxton. And this has been building for a few weeks, guys. It was at the top of the month that Shay Hoxton actually cost Subject Zero a match against Andrew Briggs after distracting the brick wall. Did get a modicum of payback, did Tailcoat Val and Zero in a tag team match, he and Bloody Justice defeating the team of Hoxton and Briggs. But Zero now, may stop Shea Hoxton from even making it to Point Break. It's already up in the air if Andrew Briggs, guys, is going to make it to the pay-per-view after what Jared Leon did to him in last week's main event. Hoxton obviously picked well, but now he's got to face his own demon. Subject Zero tossing him around the ring not a minute into this match, and it is already looking like a slaughter. That 300-pound frame stepping over Shea Hoxton. Kick to the midsection, though. The international champion is feeling good off his win over Braxton Sutter last week. I'm sure he would love it if he didn't have to defend his title against Andrew Briggs at Point Break. I don't think he would love it as much, though, if he joined Briggs on the shelf. Watch out for Tailcoat Val. She is dangerously close to Hoxton right now. Hoxton has sort of tried to align himself with Andrew Briggs, do his best, you know, in this fight against Tailcoat Val and her seemingly endless army of puppets, but the worst side of him has prevailed. That side that only cares about self-preservation, and he's certainly going to need it here against Subject Zero. I don't know why you'd want to get on Val's bad side. I think Shea Hoxton wanted to try to keep Subject Zero away from him and his title, but, well, it kind of had the exact opposite effect. Headbutt has Hoxton down on his rear end. Count of 9 right now. Have until 20, of course, to get back into the ring. Hoxton can run, but I don't think there's any hiding from Val, guys. She has her little mitts in almost seemingly every part of CMV. Picked up and thrown right into the steel post, the back of Shea Hoxton. A sickening sound echoes throughout the arena. Flesh meaning steel. Count of 15. Hoxton getting thrown down across the ringside area. Zero back into the ring. 17. This is how Zero won last week. Well, I guess technically Bram Miller during that elimination tag team match. Bram Miller tombstone Bob Luger outside the ring, got them both counted out. So Subject Zero was the last man standing. That leads us into our main event up next. What kind of condition will Bob Luger be in to face Bram Miller inside of the steel cage, guys? And is there any way he can make it to Point Break to challenge Chris Proudfoot for the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship? And if he can, does he stand any sort of chance? I like Bob Luger. I have faith in him, but my faith is being tested right now. He's only a man. He might be an incredible man. He might be an extraordinary man. But he's just a man. Just like Subject Zero is at the end of the day. And Hoxton's going to try to expose that fact right here as he stomps on the back of his head. Pretty much the most basic way of beating someone. Just stomping on their head. Back at the count of 9. These two seem intent on just keeping their fight out here in front of the announce table. Exchanging blows. Tailcoat Val keeps her distance. Taking those mental notes of hers. We saw that massive folder she laid on Mr. Slate's desk last week. Filled with notes and observations and proposed tactics. Shea Hoxton basks in his own glory for just a moment. Forearm smash, kip up. The international champion starting to get going. Inverted atomic drop, and now the scoop slam. The gambling man earlier tonight said it's no bet, it's a guarantee. I will be victorious over Subject Zero. Choke slam to the 300-pounder. 1, 2, but only a 2 count. It's not an impossible feat. It has been done. But even Hoxton said himself he's not in the ring with any sort of average man. The brick wall. Subject Zero. The prized possession of Tailcoat Val. The terror of Supremacy. Bear hug, trying to squeeze the life out of Shea Hoxton. The international champion flails. He's got nowhere to go. Biding his time, though. Not one, but two elbows to the top of the head, then clapping the temples. Shea Hoxton sees his shot. He's going to take it. Swinging neckbreaker. And now Hoxton, all he needs is one chance, one shot. Knee to the midsection, dropping. Zero down in the corner. Able to move out of the way, but gets that cheeky jab to the jaw. Referee Johnson not want to get caught between these two. High kick to the chest, gets evaded. Elbow, though, to the throat, stunning Zero. Into the front headlock, snapmare. And we get a octopus stretch. Keeping Zero grounded, making sure he can't throw around that weight of his. Elbows to the knee. Hoxton desperately trying to keep the hold applied. Not having much luck, though. Hip toss lays him flat. Bicycle kick. Hoxton saving his own skin. Not able to stop that belly-to-belly suplex from happening, though. Now, Subject Zero going for a chokeslam. Hoxton says, no thank you. Forearm smash again. Kick to the midsection. Tucked between the legs. Subject Zero. No, don't tell me he's going to do it. I think he's going to do. Oh my god. I thought he. Oh, wait a minute. I thought he was going to powerbomb Hoxton out of the ring. Maybe he was going to, but his lower back seems to have given out. Hoxton has no qualms. Taking advantage of the opening presented to him. Gouges the eyes. Irish whip into the corner. Using the bottom rope and the middle rope for added leverage. Trying to choke the life out of Zero, who collapses to the canvas, seemingly out of it. Counters the Irish whip. Zero. Ooh, taking down referee Johnson. In the confusion, slaps on a front headlock. Hoxton escapes it, though. Able to pull off another snapmare. Gets an elbow out of nowhere. Did not see that coming. Oh, and there's the bicycle kick that connects this time. Into the pin. 1, 2. But Hoxton, you can see his eyes as he kicked out right there. He is in La La Land. It was pure instinct that allowed him to survive just now. And it is indeed instinct that keeps him going. Hoxton! Wait a minute! Hoxton! 21! 21! 21! 1, 2, 3! Jay Hoxton has just defeated Subject Zero. Incredible! With no outside help. Only his own ingenuity. Shea Hoxton has just defeated Subject Zero. Clean. And an outcome that I don't believe many were expecting. But if I were Hoxton, I'd say there's not a whole lot of time to celebrate. Get out of that ring right now. But of course, he's Shea Hoxton. He'll do no such thing. Tailcoat Val does not look very pleased. But maybe she was able to take some good notes. We know she will be ringside for the International Championship match at Point Break. I guess we'll find out what sort of part she'll play. Main event time, my lovelies here on Supremacy episode 21. And it's honestly a match that could be hard for a lot of us, including myself, to watch, guys. Bob Luger has had a hellacious month, and I mean that in the purest sense of the word. Mr. Slate has done absolutely everything in his power to keep Bob Luger from making it to Point Break, from making it to that undisputed World Heavyweight Championship match he oh so desires. That beatdown 2 weeks ago, what Tailcoat Val did, driving that steel chair into Luger's throat, should have stopped any man dead right there, but still he powered through. And then last week, tombstoned on the outside of the ring. I heard his neck pop from the announce table, but still here he is tonight. Nothing can keep this man down. They call him the work ethic titan for a reason, but he is just a man, as I said before. And now he's forced to step into a steel cage opposite the right hand of the right hand, Bram Miller, whose sole objective here is to end Bob Luger once and for all and stop him from making it to Point Break. Bram Miller was willing to go far past the line last week when he drilled Bob Luger neck first onto the cement. And now there will be no escape when that steel cage encloses these two inside. No escaping that man. But you can just hear from this crowd, these fans, the admiration, the love they have for Bob Luger. But you can just see, guys, as he makes his way out here, his entire torso covered in tape, his shoulder, a scar on his cheek there, and of course, even though it's not visible, his injured larynx from that steel chair to the throat. Bob Luger's not at 100%. He's probably not even at 50%. But he's here. I don't know if that's a good thing, though. Can Bob Luger survive the steel cage, guys? Can he make it to Point Break against all odds? Will he get his World Championship match? So here we go, the steel cage, not around the ring, okay. It said steel cage, did it not on the graphic? Okay, then I guess this isn't a steel cage match. Maybe Mr. Slate pulled the wool over all of our eyes, including Bob Luger's. Last second change, maybe CMV can't afford the steel cage anymore. I'm not sure, but... Alright then, a standard singles match this will be instead. Very weird, but nonetheless, gotta make lemonade out of lemons when life gives them to you. So here we go. Our main event on the go-home edition of Supremacy. The task remains the same for Bram Miller. He has to stop Bob Luger from making it to Point Break. But the last time these two went one-on-one, even with Mr. Slate, Tailcoat Val, and Subject Zero at ringside, Bob Luger came out victorious, tapping Bram Miller out with that cross armbar of his. Oh, big kick to the chest, and down goes Luger. You can tell that instantly, right out of the gate, all of his injuries are already having an adverse effect on his performance. The wounded shoulder, the wounded ribs, the sternum, the throat, the head. I don't think there's a single part of Bob Luger's body that's not feeling some type of way. There's the rolling wheel kick, Bob Luger. Now we're going to try to go after the legs. Brandon Miller just won't stay down. Mr. Slate's hand-picked man to end Bob Luger definitively here tonight. Double palm strike to the midsection and double knees right to the face. Bob Luger, though, gets a back body drop. Now a neck crank turned into an attempted punch, but an elbow to the gut and any sort of a slight hit to the ribs. Gonna feel like a wave of pain for the cardio maniac. Big boot to the face, gets out of the way of it though, and a jumping clothesline. Didn't get all of it, but got enough. Wheelbarrow neck breaker. Bob Luger's resolve, his fortitude has been tested week after week after week. But still, he finds some way to make it through. And you can see him starting to soften up that arm. Set up for the cross armbar. He knows that it works against Bram Miller. And as we always say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's his best chance. And Luger's going to want to put this match away as quickly as he possibly can to conserve whatever he may have left for Point Break, for Chris Proudfoot, for the World Championship match. In the corner, Brad Miller gets an elbow to the side of the head. Ooh, clap in the temples. Nice hip toss takedown. Bob Luger, though, even at 50%, is still a danger to every single man on this Supremacy roster, including Bram Miller. Bob Luger at 50% is most people at 100%. And that's just the fact of the matter. That's why he is still standing. That's why he wasn't stopped after the first attack, the second attack, the third attack. Chicken wing crossface by Bob Luger here, trying to suffocate Bram Miller. But the right hand hits Bob Luger with the right hand, getting him off his back. Looks like a hammerlock Russian leg sweep. Innovative offense by Bob Luger to target that arm. There's another wheel kick. Luger's game plan here seems to just be a flurry of offense, hit after hit after hit after hit, just blinding Bram Miller. But that also runs the risk of Luger draining himself early on and having nothing left once this match reaches its later stages. You can tell Luger doesn't want this match reaching a later stage. Might not be up to him though. Fact is, the longer this one goes, the more it's going to benefit Bram Miller. Luger, wait a minute! Could be the Coney Island Cyclone. On the money. Bram Miller doesn't stop moving though, and Luger's got no time to waste. Luger landing. 1, 2, 3. Bob Luger has done it. Every single time I seem to doubt this man, he comes back and surprises me every single time. Bob Luger has just beaten Bram Miller, a Coney Island Cyclone directly into a Luger landing. Bob Luger is going to Point Break, ladies and gentlemen. He's getting his World Championship match. But Bram Miller is no Chris Proudfoot. Luger has had Proudfoot's number on 2. Wait a minute, who? Jared Leon! It's Jared Leon! It's Jared Leon, the man who took out Andrew Briggs last week, now coming after Bob Luger. It was too good to be true. It was too good to be true that Xander Slate would let Bob Luger make it to Point Break. Crossface chicken wing by Luger, though. He's not done fighting. He'll fight till the last breath leaves his body. Mr. Slate maybe should have just taken the L for once. As Luger with a Coney Island Cyclone. And still not done. 2 for the price of 1, baby. Jared Leon. Anybody else? Bob Luger battles back not only Brand Miller, but Jared Leon as well. Next, Chris Proudfoot. Ignore this, guys. I don't know why there's another match. Classic 2K. That is the end of the show, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching. As always, if you're new to the show, make sure you drop a follow so that you get those cheeky notifications when I go live. Until next time, for Point Break, I'll see you when I see you. Bye.